you that you need to ask permission to be free.
T-minus 27.
No, we are like dying stars, raging through the shadows. We've come too far to flee the battle. So give your heart, ravishing and fragile, like dying stars.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Liberty Libations. Today we've got Alden, Steven, and Zane. Everybody, sláinte.
Cheers.
All right. Well, we're going to start out talking about the Great Create, like we've been doing. We're less than a month away from this thing. It's going to be a pretty exciting festival at this point. We have so many great people showing up. We've talked about all four of these on the podcast before. We've interviewed a few of these folks on the Free Georgia podcast. What else? Do we have anything new on here? Do y'all notice anything new since last week?
I didn't remember the top row. Someone named like Tia or someone. I don't know if you've talked about her.
So she popped up on the website last week. So we talked about her for just a moment last week. But yeah, she'll be speaking at the event now. And we've got all these folks presenting different ways of becoming more self-sufficient, self-reliant. It's basically a DIY freedom festival is kind of the tag for it. So, and it's open to everybody. It's not just a libertarian thing. We're trying to branch out and invite just a whole bunch of people who would like to gain more skills, get more knowledge in different areas, and become a little more self-sufficient and self-reliant. Yeah, tickets are $42 for adults. Come on, there we go. $42 for adults and free for children under 16 and under, or under 16. I don't know if that's 16 and under or under 16. What do y'all think?
Looks like under 16 to me.
All right.
How about if you have less than 16 kids?
That's fair. All right. So, yeah, we're going to keep promoting this every single podcast, every single Liberty Libations, because we're very excited about it. We've got a whole bunch of great stuff happening. There's a film festival. My film will be there. We've got Over Policed that's going to be shown there. Chris Coffer, guys who brought you Monopoly on Violence. We're going to have a block of short films. So 4 or 5 short films, which will be really fun. I always liked, I don't know how many film festivals y'all have been to, but I've been to quite a few. And
I love it. Yeah.
The short film blocks are like the best because you get like 5 or 6 really fun films packed into a short amount of time.
I love shorts.
Yeah, shorts are fantastic. So
have you seen microfilms or whatever they're called that are like a minute or less? Like,
Isn't that just called a TikTok?
but like officially recognized as a medium, but they're fun too.
And joining us now is
Hey, there he is.
Mr. Nick Siselski.
Yep, I'm here.
Hot out of the shower.
Yep.
I also wanted to share a project Shane Hazel has just started. So go follow him on Instagram as the Bitcoin Maximalist. Just launched this thing where he's going to be talking about Bitcoin a lot on this Instagram page. Yeah, I mean, his life is all about Bitcoin at this point. So yeah, head on over to Instagram, follow him, _Bitcoin_maximalist, and he'll give you a whole bunch of great information on why Bitcoin is the hardest money that's ever been made and why you should get into it, as opposed to keeping your money in dollars.
Bitcoin hit 30,000. So had you bought, $500 when it hit 18, like I did, you nearly doubled your money right there.
Heck yeah. Oh, someone likes micro shorts. Patrick Henry Opossum.
Right on. They're fun. I don't know. I have the attention for it,
You do have the attention. That is right up your alley. We're going to start off with the headliner for this episode, because this is one of the most delicious interviews that I've seen recently. It's Mr. Elon Musk who is getting interviewed by a BBC journalist, but ends up completely flipping it around. So let's give this a watch. Feel free to talk over it, laugh, whatever, because this is hysterical.
I would only just add that we have spoken to people who have been sacked that used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company.
What hate speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter,
right?
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
but just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, my for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like.
I hear he kept the algorithm in place, so like the whole censorship thing, he hadn't rolled that back yet.
Content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is.
The only way to really trust it is if you open source
it. Those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just
curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And
it's real journalism in action right
here. If something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
said a lot of people are quite similar. I
haven't seen this interview. Does he pull out a tablet and tell him to get on his feed?
No, but I wish you would.
Not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using it and taking it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen.
How did the BBC decide that it was a good idea to put this out?
Right,
you can't give us a one.
And I'm saying,
I mean, it's state-sponsored media, so I mean, you can't hold them to high standards.
Of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed.
You just lied.
What I claimed was there are.
Was this before or after they were labeled state-sponsored media?
Kind of information.
It's around the same time.
Whether it has
okay.
Give me one example. I mean, right, and
no,
BBC like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK, they will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use
right. Then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
But who's on first?
You experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know this hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
This is what people expect journalism to be these days. Like this.
This poor bloke is about to have a panic attack.
I can't give you an example of what I'm claiming. I have no evidence for my claim.
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No,
I have to have a fact.
The BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I might die.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
I'm actually asking you about. You changed the labels.
Oh, they're still going.
COVID misinformation.
Oh, yeah, they're still
labels. There used to be a policy, and then disappeared. Why do that?
Wow. COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations, and not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it was?
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the BBC? All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that guy got destroyed.
That looks bad.
But like, just think about that. Like, he is a professional journalist who works for the BBC.
Yeah.
And was sent to interview Elon Musk.
And did no homework.
So he was considered good enough to go and interview Elon Musk. Just think about how much crappy, horrible journalism is happening from people that aren't even considered good enough to go interview Elon Musk.
Presumably, right. If he's better than others to be in that position, then yeah, that doesn't look great.
Yeah. Presumably everybody else is writing articles about how peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are racist. So
is that a real thing? Or I mean, it wouldn't even matter anyway. But I'm constantly surprised by.
I have seen that headline before. It may have been made up, but at this point, what was that video? It was like a Fox News interview where it was like one of the anchors interviewing somebody who was like a promoter of like teaching CRT, and the anchor was like, I know that like your views often get parodied as saying 2 + 2 = 4 is racist, and like the anchor was giving the person who was being interviewed the opportunity to say, no, that's a mischaracterization, we actually believe this other more nuanced thing. But then the person being interviewed was like, no, we actually believe that teaching 2 + 2 = 4 is racist.
Giving the space, and then it's still
doubling
down on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. And I mean, it was just delightful to watch. I mean, he does this every time. What I was talking to my wife about earlier was that, like, generally when there's two people with opposing views talking, they end up just yelling at each other, especially on things like the BBC. They just talk over each other. There's so much emotion involved, and Elon's just sitting there like straight-faced.
He's
just dishing it right back at him.
He's deadpan, man. Yeah, he's super just stoic about it, which is cool.
Yeah, which
I don't typically. I've talked to you about this before, Jake, where I had plans to kind of do my own style podcast kind of a thing and to interview people. And first, as a rule, for the first 15 or 30 minutes or whatever, talk about something that is not political at all, like what kind of sandwiches, whatever, or or.
But that is political because sandwiches are racist.
Yeah,
we already talked about that.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Dangerous ground now. But
well, at least
to talk.
Then someone might say, "Well, what about a hot dog?" And then you get into that.
And then does that classify as a sandwich? And then now we're screaming,
Which, to be fair, screaming about whether a hot dog is a sandwich is perfectly legitimate. That is an argument that will last forever.
Sounds like my average Saturday afternoon.
But I do think that news in general, the way that this might not be as much because the long form interview is one of the rare instances, but most of the time when you have these 5 to 15 minute segments, it's just this barrage back and forth. And there's no time to be like, hey, we're both people and we both I don't know, fishing or whatever, name a thing. It doesn't matter. Find some common ground first, build a rapport with someone and see the other person as not just your opponent, but as a fellow person, and it goes a long way for having a more civil discussion. And news, as we have it and as it's been for a long time, is really set up for the opposite, which is very, argumentative and combative. And people are like, oh, I got to get my piece in before you get the 30-second warning in your ear or whatever. And it's not great, man. It breeds.
You can tell the guy was there just to plant keywords, just to plant ideas, not support them with any actual story.
No,
whether or not Elon actually said what he wanted to, just by the way he was asking questions, it's clear that he already had his answer and he wasn't really listening.
Yeah, you're darn right. Yeah,
that's another fair point.
Just a quick shout out to Mr. Grant Ryan, new to Georgia. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Georgia. Happy to have you. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Question: does being new to Georgia mean new to the Georgia party?
Let's see. He said, but a party follower observer since 2017. So I don't know.
Well, if you're not, I encourage you to head over to lpgeorgia.com and hit that join button and come out to the Great Create. We'd love to have you there. It's going to be a great time.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, it is. All right. I know Nick wanted to talk about this story.
This is a wild story. If you guys didn't see this, it was brought to my attention because a guy on our Twitter wanted to go after DeSantis on this. Unfortunately, I kind of recognize this name here. So Rebecca Jones, this was the quote unquote whistleblower who claimed that DeSantis was falsifying all the data in Florida to justify his reopening policies. and that the cops were being used against her, and they raided her house and this and that. When the real story was like she took property home with her after getting let go, and they came to get that property back after she was told to return it. So yeah, going on here. This happened, I want to say, what was it, April 5th? So that was last Thursday. So I don't think this got on here, but this whole giant tweet thread, right? So it starts, my family's not safe. My son has been taking on the gov's orders. I've had to send my husband and daughter out of state for their safety. This is the reality of living in DeSantis's Florida. There's no freedom here, only retaliatory rule by a fascist who wishes to be king.
Goodness
so
gracious.
If we want to scroll down, this thread goes on, right?
Wow.
So after a week, we filed our lawsuit against the state. A kid claiming to be the cousin of one of my son's classmates joined their Snapchat group. They recorded their conversation and anonymously reported my son to the police for sharing a popular internet meme. They said they had to complete a threat assessment since they received a non-complaint, which both the local cops and school signed off on as not being a threat. The kids were joking about cops and video games, which included this meme. 2 weeks later, bringing us to earlier today, an officer told me the state issued a warrant for my son's arrest for digital threats of terrorism. I asked on whose orders. The officer said it was the state. They aren't letting him come home tonight. They kidnapped my son. I had to get my husband and daughter out of here because CPS now interprets my home as dangerous because they've charged my 13-year-old with a felony for sharing a meme less than a week after filing a lawsuit in America against a state's COVID lies. I'm sorry for not getting back to everyone who is frantically calling and messaging me. I'm trying to keep it together and stay here and fight for my kid. This state has already gotten away with pointing guns at my son during their raid. I will not let them hurt him again. I'm begging, blah, 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 right? So this led to a headline of, Florida whistleblower Rebecca Jones' son arrested for internet memes. The real story, yeah. So, a little bit of a different story than what she was saying on Twitter. Not only that, but her house was not raided. She drove her son to the police department and turned him in. And there is video of that was released on the internet.
Goodness gracious.
And this wasn't like a one-time thing. Like, this was apparently multiple threats in this group that nothing, like, people were quite concerned that, these other kids said, hey, something might happen here. So...
Wow.
While she's out there on some crusade politically, her 13-year-old son is doing this. Repeated threats to shoot up. Yeah, it's just.
Repeated threats to shoot up Holly Navarre Middle School and to stab students who angered him. Goodness gracious.
Multiple. Yeah. I mean, it is absurd.
Wow. Look at some of those quotes. If I get a gun, I'm going to shoot up HNMS. LOL. Goodness gracious.
He was homeschooled at the time of the alleged threats. That doesn't make sense.
What?
I don't know.
There's a good chance he probably got kicked out for something else.
Oh, here you go. Here's one that stands out to me. Okay, so it's been like 3-4 weeks since I got on my new antidepressants, and they're not working, but they're supposed to by now. And I have no hope in getting better, so why not go kill the losers at school? Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah. Wow.
Antidepressants are really tricky, honestly. There's so many different types and there's so many different responses to having people in different doses, and getting it right is actually really complicated, and it can have some really bad results.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why there's a popular one, and I don't remember exactly which one it is, so I don't want to get in trouble for no reason. But
fair.
It might work. It might cause you to jump off the top level of a parking deck.
Yeah, it can make you more suicidal or more, it's, I don't know. I don't want to badmouth it entirely because they have a function, but.
Yeah. You're probably right, Mac.
Yeah.
Regardless, this is just this is just another warning to, not everything you see on Twitter is real.
Yeah, I mean,
assume nothing you see on Twitter is real.
I think that's an Abraham Lincoln quote, right?
Yeah. And dive deeper, kind of try to triangulate the truth through multiple sources of things before you leap to emotional, conclusions about things. But
the way the story was pitched was so bad there, and then you turn around and it's like, Oh no, it's exactly the opposite.
Well,
it's kind
it's
of
yet another
exactly the
example
opposite.
of it's another example of accusing other people of doing what you're doing, or in this case, what your son is doing. Like he's threatening to use violence to get his way, and she's saying the state was using violence to get their way. Like it's exactly what we've been talking about for the past like 4 weeks on this show.
And actually,
And apparently, really cherry picking.
I just dropped the video of the so-called raid of her actually turning her son into the at the police station.
That's her. That's her son. Okay.
There we go.
Oof.
She's totally getting raided right now, saying please and thank you and all that.
That was a big old raid.
And then the next then one video, then next tweet down also is the next part of it. So
yeah, he's standing there, she's right there. Goodness gracious.
There's no other like footage. Go ahead.
And then there's a little bit further down, there's the redacted warrant affidavit, whatever, probable cause.
Man. All right. Well, how wide did her story go? Like how much coverage did that get? Because I saw
I'm not sure how
getting interviewed on some like shows and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I don't really pay attention to the legacy corporate media that much, but I know that someone went off with the headline 13-year-old son arrested for memes, and it whistleblower's 13-year-old son arrested for memes or something. And then it's only when, once again, it's the headline says one thing and the body tells you the more of the story. Where
I was also going to comment on the headline.
It's not just memes.
Yeah.
Anytime a headline or like the main like kind of thesis point here of something directs attention at one person, like if it's like DeSantis or whatever. I don't want to defend anyone in particular, but I get a little suspicious when it's like and then this person is responsible for the following, and I don't know.
Right.
I get a little bit. It's like attack addy kind of vibes.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, my favorite that I see lately is so and so slams so and so. Mexican president slams the Republicans in Congress for wanting to bomb the cartel factories.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Ben
slammed
Shapiro
them.
slams
The word
high
slam,
school
yeah,
student.
that's been one of the ones for me for a while now. When I hear that, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, if I see that and it's not a wrestling match, I'm not. I click off of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, the one that I always used to see was Ben Shapiro destroys college student.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. That takes a lot of
Good job.
of skill.
Destroys. Yeah, it's just violent what he did to this college student.
Who here watched the great Ron Paul on Timcast this week?
I did multiple
I did
times.
not get around to it.
Nick, you missed a great one, man.
I've had a busy week.
So Ron Paul literally said that CIA murdered Kennedy. In this,
Someone did.
Yeah, they were discussing dates, and he was saying, obviously we've been co-opted by some folks that thinks that they can steer policy and do whatever they want, and everybody has their own date. You could probably pick any date in the last 100 years and be correct. He's like, but to me, the one that stands out is November 22nd, 1963. Was it? And they're like, well, what's significant about that? And he's like, that's the day Kennedy was murdered by our government.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they're all just looking at, did he just say that? I mean, because he didn't put any emphasis on it. He was just real low key, just the Ron Paul flat voice.
There, let's go ahead and watch it.
There's been a coup. We don't have any resemblance to a government that believes in a republic. We don't.
Oh, come on, internet.
We don't have integrity. We don't even have people in Washington that even pretends, that you're supposed to tell the truth. Remember just recently there was a congressperson that won, and he won by putting on his resume just a bunch of lies. and And the other ones got hysterical. The other congressman telling lies like this. And I got to thinking, well, how many of these people that were complaining about this guy telling lies, how many of them lied when they raised their hand up and swore to uphold the Constitution? Now, that's a lie that really has consequences. Actually, you could probably make fun and make a little joke because his jokes weren't, everybody knew he was fibbing, but the real lies are being told. And that is our big problem. But I do believe there has been a coup and it's been taken over. And if I want to just put the date in my mind. And anybody could pick probably any date in the last 100 years. But I have picked November 22nd, 1963.
What happened on that day?
That was the day Kennedy was murdered by our government.
Wow.
By the CIA.
They didn't even realize what he said until like 5 seconds. That one just had to air out. And then you can then the camera pans around again and they're looking around like, did he say that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a phenomenal. And Liam McCollum is the one tweeting all this, which is great. If y'all don't follow Liam McCollum, you should. He's a Montana libertarian. He's awesome. Let's just watch some more Ron Paul because you can't get enough of him.
Made up my mind whether or not when people talk about World War III, and most people think in their mind about World War I and World War II.
We won't watch all 6 minutes. Oh my gosh.
Type of war, tanks and bombs and airplanes and all that. And I can't quite visualize that. I think the world has changed too much. As a matter of fact, politics has changed a whole lot as well. But I've concentrated more recently on thinking about how do revolutions come about? Have the changes been made? Have we had a World War III to do it? And I'm arguing the case that we're in the middle of it and moving right along, that the revolution has been fought and it is, there's been a coup. We don't have any resemblance to a government that believes in a republic. We don't have honest money. We don't have integrity. We don't even have.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is the man. I mean, how old is he at this point? Isn't he 90 something?
I wouldn't argue against it.
I know he's at least a stroke old. So whatever the actual number is at that point, it's just we got to protect this man as long as we can.
Let's find out how old this guy is, because let's see, he was born in.
He was delivering babies for Julius Caesar. So
he's 87 years old, and he's doing podcasts, y'all.
Yeah,
he's on Timcast. Like how crazy is that? A former presidential candidate, former congressman, one of the biggest people to ever walk in the liberty movement is 87 and still
this is a man in his late 80s that I actually trust to be lucid.
Right?
Yeah, fair.
Unlike others.
Look how much more in tune he is than Biden. Like how crazy is that? The difference.
Joe Biden's not even as old as he is.
I know. That's what
I
I'm
didn't
saying.
even think so. Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, he's got 3 or 4 years on Biden.
It's nuts.
Yeah, at least.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, but if you haven't watched or listened to that episode, he crushes it for the full hour and a half, 2 hours, however long that episode
Biden
was.
is 80, so Ron's got 7 years on Biden.
I mean, is Biden still alive? That's the real question.
The original, no. For the doubles, yes.
I think it all depends on how much chocolate chip ice cream you keep in the freezer.
Exactly.
I think as long as that stays stocked, he's going to be around.
Fair enough. I mean, Rand definitely has some of what his dad had. He definitely questions pretty hard. I definitely wish he was a little more like Ron, but
I like his filibuster game. Rand has come through with some key filibusters in the last decade.
Well, he was killing it with the COVID stuff, and I mean, he seems to be the big bad guy because it seems like every time you turn around, he's getting attacked, or someone around him's getting attacked, or something. So I mean, he's a threat, I guess, but
attacking him.
Yeah. Or the baseball game he's playing on is getting shot up, or just anything crazy like that.
Or he's getting stomped off his lawnmower, getting slammed by his neighbor.
Yeah.
Good callback, Stephen.
But his but I don't, but yeah, he's not the same as Ron. I think he moderates a lot in order to to take the political route. So
he's playing a different game, and he's got a
Yes.
different role. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, like it's definitely needed in some way, because you can't just be on the outside and affect change.
yeah,
Like we need some
especially
people in there.
the Senate. But
Yeah.
the disappointing part is we know that Rand has read everything Ron has. Like we know Rand knows all this stuff, and he kind of keeps it buried down there. You know.
Nick,
So,
you have an admirer again.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, and Rand also knows his base, which, you know, there is a subsect of some Democrats or, you know, some moderates that he still has to appeal to on some level. Otherwise, he's not going to be in office.
Yeah.
You know, at least, you know, his dad had the luxury of being in Texas where, you know, as long as it's bombastic, they're going to vote for you.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Kentucky there, Cocaine Mitch is possibly on the way out.
Oh,
yeah.
Talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That'd be interesting. Who's the most likely contender to take his spot?
I don't know if anyone in the Republican Party would be as good at, you know, swampy politics as he is.
Dan Crenshaw's
Like that man.
Doing pretty good.
He doesn't.
He could get there.
Well,
if he lost another eye, I think he could get there. If he went double eye patch McCain, I think that'd be pretty great.
Yeah, but there's a way that you have to operate in there, and part of it is like being a legitimate lizard person, or in Cocaine Mitch's case, a you know, turtle person. But
he is a literal Koopa.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who would actually take his.
It takes a lot in order to, you know, command what he has and just kind of do what, you know. He's terrible, but like he's good at being really, really terrible.
He's good at being terrible.
And you have to be in there for a very long time for that to happen. How long has that doofus been in Congress? Like,
I don't know.
Longer than I've been alive?
Very
at least a decade, because he's rich.
Oh, what?
Only takes
and that's not just from drug sales.
So I heard something the other day, and I haven't had a chance to fact check this. So I'm just going to ask, right? We're just going to look into this. Is it true that members of like Congress, when they retire, they get free healthcare?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How is that then? How are these the people that are voting whether the rest of us have healthcare provided?
Oh, and there's been multiple times since Obamacare that bills have been introduced for them to be subject to the same healthcare plans as us.
Uh-huh.
And it's a resounding no.
They're like,
every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
So cocaine. So Mitch first got into the Senate in 85.
1885?
1985, but yeah, it'd be you would think that 1885 would be more accurate.
His father was a carpetbagger from Michigan.
85. Yeah. Yeah, he was in office in Jefferson County as a judge in 1977 to 1984. And then he went straight from that, serving with Rand Paul in 1985. How is that possible? Rand Paul's not that old. Is he? There's no way they're the same.
Rand Paul's in his 60s.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
I guess that does make sense.
I mean, it would make sense with his,
He was born in 63, so Rand is 60.
Wow.
How do you guys feel about, in general, you mentioned judges, the concept of voting for judges? Where I think I had got this wrong in a previous episode where I talked about sheriff, but I think it's judges where we're one of the few countries that vote for that position.
We don't vote for all of them, though. We don't vote for Supreme Court justices.
I mean,
that's interesting too, and that there's a discrepancy even within this similar positions. Yeah,
it's all bizarre. The fact that the executive branch gets to appoint the judiciary branch, big conflict of interest there.
Yeah, I agree. It's super odd.
Odd is an understatement.
Yeah,
but also,
yeah.
but also, would you know, how much do you want judges playing politics when, because that's what everything's come down to is politics. There's no like, this guy seems like he'd be the most fair judge. It's this guy on my team. I vote this guy. And
I know
that's what it comes down to. So it's like, how much do you want partisan politics really getting in on your judicial system, which is going to happen anyway, because it's either done through the ballot box or through appointments of one side. But
that's one question.
Oh yeah, and since I've been paying attention, I know what was it, the confirmation of Justice Sotomayor? She said that she would make judgments as seen through the lens of a Latina woman.
Yep, I did.
And I was like, oh God, help me! What happened to the Constitution?
Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to be that's the prism right there, isn't it? Like,
I mean,
why is it coming through you?
I feel like we all make judgments through the lens of whatever we are. The goal is to not, right? Like the goal is to be as unbiased as possible.
But to hear a soon-to-be Supreme Court justice admit on live TV,
no, I hear you. Yeah,
that I'm not going to be impartial. I have a bias, and this is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe she was definitely saying the quiet part out loud there, but they're all doing it. Like, not to get too deep in the weeds of libertarian theory, but if any of you have ever heard of the essay or read the essay "The Myths of the Rule of Law" by John Hasness, he essentially makes the case that no matter how you phrase a law, it's always going to be subject to you being able to interpret it in different ways.
Yeah.
So even if you think you're just following the Constitution, there might be multiple ways to do that even. And of course, there are 100 ways where you could just ignore the Constitution and nobody would be able to stop you. So, I mean, anytime you try to have a political solution to the question of how we provide justice and law enforcement, you are never going to be able to find anything satisfactory. Because
the BBC interview that we started watching kind of touched on this, the concept of like interpreting something as hate speech, in general, and gets into that gray area of, it's kind of hateful, and then it's up to someone to interpret that and the subjectivity of that and everything. And that's where you have more of just that overarching rule of just the freedom of speech, unless there are like what is it? What is the yelling fire in a crowded room thing that everyone always says is like, like the example of something that's can immediately cause harm to someone or whatever. Like, okay, we have those kind of parameters, but yeah, when it comes to interpreting something as just offensive, it gets into the real gray area, which is what the whole law is trying to avoid. But
I'm interested in this statement. Analytical philosophy uses math equations to make meaningful statements.
I've seen some folks try to map out Aristotelian logic in a math equation.
Really?
And these are people I want to hang out with more.
These seem like people that I don't want to talk to ever. I just want to hear their summaries.
Whoever made that comment, I don't know if you're like trying to hint at something like Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Maybe we can connect about that at the convention. I think that I would put everybody to sleep here talking about that. But Alden, even going back to your statement about you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Well, if you're a theater patron and you want to go to a theater where people do that, and you find a theater owner that allows that to be done, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that if everybody knows going in that you can. Walter Block makes this point where if you can't really judge people for their, I mean, you can judge them personally if you want, but we shouldn't go around saying you should not be allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater because for some reason people might want to do that. And obviously this is a extreme example just meant to illustrate the point that it instead of trying to make these very vague precedents that apply to everybody, and there's a monopoly on the rule of law, and there is no way to not subscribe to judges that you don't like, even if they don't have the respect of the community, that we should throw that system out and replace it with one that's just based off private property rights and competition for judges and legal opinions the same way that there's competition for anything else.
Yeah, that's interesting to break down like a pretty classic example and even break that down. And I'd probably rather live in the world that adopts more of what you're saying than the other one, that is too quick to jump at things. And you're right. If everyone's, consenting and in this space and like wants to be in a place where that's possible, then of course you should be able to in this, hypothetical or whatever. But
yeah,
there we go. Hey, that'd be a cool escape room. Like a bachelor party night. You walk in, you're like, is this a theater? And someone's like, fire! Oh my God, get out!
All right, there we go. Escape room idea.
If you really want a good escape room, Walter Block also has another thought experiment called Murder Park, where it's an amusement park, but anybody who's in there just is allowed to murder anybody else who's in there. The point being that if you voluntarily entered Murder Park, then you should be allowed to do that.
This is like The Purge, but on a volunteer basis. And an amusement park. Interesting.
That's a very interesting one.
And they can have a crow for a mascot just to confuse everything.
How many people would go to this, do you think?
I bet quite a few.
At least a couple.
At least a few. Yeah.
It takes two, right? Yeah.
Well, y'all, it's time.
The question
to do
is, how
something.
far into the park do people get before they die?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I would think that it just kind of ends up with like everyone right there at the beginning. Although if you were smart, like the first person in would go hide way in the back.
Are there any safe zones? Like the bar should be a safe zone. You should be able to get a drink and not have to worry about it.
Well, it's kind of like John Wick, the hotel is
yeah.
safe zone. Yeah.
And what is it, the second one or something?
It's all of them. The hotel's always the safe zone. You can't. No business can be conducted. I saw the fourth one.
Oh,
it's such a bummer.
I didn't even like the
Okay, I'll save my money.
Look, if you're just going to watch it for action, even the action sucked.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate. Like there were so many times where you could legit see the stuntman who's getting beat up. He could have cranked John Wick in the head, but he just let his arm just wiggle out to the side. It was like really bad stunt work. It was.
Where's Steven Seagal when you need him?
Yeah, it was pretty horrendous.
Hanging out in Russia.
Hey, but for a cool $9 million, you can have his mansion in Arizona.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Can we pool our money?
All right. It's a cool place.
I was going to mention while we're talking about movies and the merge with what we were talking about earlier with the JFK. Has anyone here seen that show with like James Franco? It's called like 11/22/63 or whatever.
I haven't seen
it. I haven't watched
I mean, it's garbage, but I was just wondering if anyone had seen it. It's not. I'm not saying to watch it. I'm saying the propaganda BS message about it and trying to reinforce things about, where the shooter was and everything. And they go into the backstory of, Oswald or whatever. And it's hot trash, but I was just wondering if any of you guys had seen it because I was just going to rip on it, but
no one knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. So never mind that. I don't want to just be,
I know what you're talking about. I just don't watch that show.
Oh, I didn't watch it for enjoyment. I mean, it was what did Brad say? It was a hate watch.
Hate watch. Yeah, you gotta hate watch some stuff from time to time.
It was hard to swallow, but I did my civic duty and I watched it just to see what they're trying to pump out and what they're trying to shape, and lock into people's minds, like in the culture, the broader culture of what happened on that day, and it is bad. But we'll get into that maybe another time if you guys ever want to just really just harm yourselves and watch.
There we go. So like some Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of stuff.
Nice.
We can sit there and make fun of it the whole time.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I wonder what movies have gone into the public domain that we could watch on this show and criticize endlessly.
What is the
Didn't Steamboat Willie just go into public domain or is going into the public domain?
If we watch that on here, we will get canceled.
Which one?
Like Steamboat Willie.
Oh, I don't know.
I saw Birth of a Nation was on Amazon just a couple of summers ago.
Interesting. That's a.
I was like, wow, that was. I'm surprised to see that one because that was an actual recruiting tool back in the 80s.
Here we go. Like hate watching Liberty Libation.
Fair enough.
We don't care if you're hate watching. At least you're watching.
Yeah, it's another viewer. So, you just doubled our
participating.
viewership. All right, y'all. It's time for our first ever segment on Liberty Libations. Here we go. We have a graphic and everything. How about that?
Now
all right.
That's what makes it a real segment.
Yeah, that's what makes it a real segment. It's time for Libations Trivia. Let me get situated here. This is the time where I wish I had a producer who could be clicking all these buttons while I do all this stuff. While I do
Zane, you're now the producer.
Zane.
You're now the permanent producer.
All right, it's April 13th, 2023. Here are the rules. There are 3 rounds. The first round is random, 10 questions, 1 point each. The second round is all about Georgia, 5 questions, 2 points each. The third round is 3 questions about global politics, 3 points each. And let me tell you, those are not easy. Those are very difficult. Every question is a free-for-all with a 15-second timer. The first contestant to cover their camera with their hand will be called on by Jake to answer the question. If you blurt out an answer when it's not your turn, whether it's right or wrong, you lose a point. If a contestant answers, they cannot give another answer until all other contestants have given an answer.
For that question.
Negative
For that
points?
question. You can have negative points at the end of this. The winner of trivia gets to pick the primary topic or whatever topic they want to talk about for the next episode. And we'll all prepare for it, whether that's one of the conspiracies that we threw out, two episodes ago or whatever. So that is, those are the rules. Tell me if y'all are ready, or is everybody ready to go?
Ready.
I'm at a disadvantage, I think, on the Georgia stuff, but
I don't think so. You lived here long enough.
Yeah.
The Georgia ones are very basic.
Okay.
So anybody can get them. It's the global ones that I'm worried about no one getting. And let me be clear. These questions are brought to you by ChatGPT.
Oh,
wow.
All right.
Is that a real thing?
It is.
Okay.
I'm probably never even going to get to the timer because someone's going to answer these before I even get over there to click it. But here we go. What is the smallest planet in our solar system? Zane?
Mercury.
Boom.
Yeah, I was going to say according to what. Yeah.
All right. We're not even going to have the timer. Timer is off. There's too many buttons for me to click. All right. Zane gets the first point. Let's put his point. Nope, not negative. Apologies. Oh my god.
I think we need to do this by paper ballot.
There we go. New scoreboard.
I still feel like we should count Pluto.
Score is also tallied by ChatGPT.
Score's tallied by an idiot, I think. Is what you mean. Let's see. Let me pull this down. This scoreboard sucks. I got to find a new scoreboard. I can't fit everybody on the screen at one time. Whatever. All right. Next question. Question number 2 of round 1. In what year did the first episode of The Simpsons air on television? Steven?
1987.
No.
Oh.
That was Nick.
Let's go with 90.
Wrong. Zane?
1989.
1989
Oh!
is the correct answer.
It's a good thing Nick got in before me because I was about to say 1990.
I knew it was right around that time.
My bad.
No.
Yeah, see, this scoreboard sucks. No wonder it had 1-star reviews on Apple.
Whoever picked it sucks.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I already knew that I sucked. You didn't need to point that out. All right, question
better
number
getting
3.
a separate camera, Jake, and having a big screen on the camera and just putting tally marks.
I actually really like that idea. I should try that next time.
I've got a dry erase board from homeschool stuff we could use.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Who is the current CEO of Amazon? That was Alden.
Bezos.
Nope.
Is it not right?
Zane was next.
I think it's Jassy.
Andy Jassy.
Wow, all right.
Good job.
Zane
Thanks for the point, by the way. I would not have gotten that one.
I went into the office today and they had CNBC on in the background and they were doing some interview with them. It's the only useful thing that I've ever learned.
Zane watches CNBC. Zane watches.
I don't know. You can learn what not to buy if you watch.
Well, I was gonna. There's some legit money news on there. You just don't want their opinions of what to do with your money.
I think there is an exchange traded fund called Short Kramer, where
there's a short Kramer and a long Kramer.
It looks like Mac left in 1989 before y'all did.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Mac's
Yeah,
comments, giving out answers.
There's an ETF that goes long on Kramer and one that goes short.
All right. Question number
Better if you
4.
go short.
Here we go. What is the highest mountain peak in North America? Nick?
I'm going to go with Denali.
Correct.
Yep.
AKA Mount McKinley. Dadgummit, did this? Okay. Sorry, Zane. I know that's a +1 for you last time.
But
there we go.
If you go by the true definition of mountain and you measure from the ocean floor, Mauna Kea.
Yep. In Hawaii. You're correct.
But that's North America.
Yeah, I was going to ask what constitutes North America. Yeah.
I would say that's still North America.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's not on the North American plate. So
it's not CONUS, but it's still in the North American datum.
Gosh.
All of our measurements are based on the same.
Okay, this is nerd versus nerd. I don't like any of y'all right now. All right.
I think I thought I was covering my camera, but I wasn't even there.
Just do your whole hand. Like,
yeah.
You don't have to cover the whole thing. I just need some type of like visual stimulant.
Okay, because I had my thumb like over. Yeah, it wasn't
just
working.
Go hand, just boom, high five the freaking.
Because I live over here, like closer to Denali, but
yeah, there you go. Nick's got it down. All right. Question number 5.
Oh, Nick, you want to play that game?
Who won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 2021 for his role in the film Judas and the Black Messiah? Zane.
I don't really know, but is this Donald Glover?
Wrong. Got another 10 seconds.
Ooh.
5, 3, 2, 1. He was in the movie Get Out.
Oh, I don't know his name.
Yeah, I almost no one knows his name.
Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yep, I never got that.
All right. Question number 6. Which country is home to the largest pyramid in the world? Nick?
Egypt.
Wrong. Alden was next.
Oh my God. Is it Bosnia?
Wrong. Zane was next.
USA.
Wrong.
USA.
Steven, do you have a guess?
Mexico.
Mexico, the Great Pyramid of
I
Cholula.
want to contest.
That's bigger than.
You can contest it.
Bigger
It depends on
which way.
Who recognizes it as a pyramid, because the mainstream is saying that in Bosnia it is not a pyramid because it challenges their timeline. But I believe.
But so does the one in Mexico. The one in Mexico challenges their timeline too.
Well, but it's hard to argue that it's not a pyramid.
But if I know the one you're talking about with the Bosnia one, and if that is, it's giant. But,
if it is, it's the biggest in the world. Yeah.
Okay, your contesting is noted, but denied.
Oh, so the rules. So Jake's rules for this are mainstream media answers only. So
I think the mainstream media would say Egypt. Like
Jake just cares about what mainstream consensus says, like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. If Neil deGrasse Tyson said it, then I believe it. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Question number 7. What is the smallest country in the world by Zane?
That's the Vatican City.
Ah, smart.
Yeah.
It's Pretoria.
Zane is crushing it right now, y'all. Don't worry. Round 2 is worth 2 points. Round 3 is worth 3 points.
You
so
keep giving
always
Nick my points. I think we need to stop the steal.
Dadgummit. This thing sucks so bad. There we go. Boom. All right. Zane has 4. Nick has 1. Alden doesn't have 1. Oh my gosh. This scoreboard, y'all.
What do I have?
You have 0.
What?
I should have 1. That's rude.
Yeah. Russian interference.
I'm telling you, it's honestly.
All right.
Antarctica might have the biggest pyramid, but we don't know. But Bosnia.
Have you seen that one in Antarctica?
I'm telling you that it might.
That one is.
I left that alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't listen
Bosnia.
to conspiracy theorists, so you shut your mouth. All right. Question number 8. Who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? Alden.
Oh God.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who's next?
Harper Lee.
Oh, he got it. He got
Yeah, on the buzzer.
Yes. Okay.
I don't do well under pressure.
That came to me
sorry.
right. That came to me about half a second before you said it.
Yeah. I wanted to say
Alright.
Scout. That's a character. That's not correct.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Atticus Finch.
Yeah, you read it.
Question number 9. In what year was the first iPhone released? Oh, man. That was a tie between Zane and Alden. Y'all both hit at the exact same time. So,
Let him go. I'm on here more. Let him go.
No.
Yeah.
Alden, I know you're a man of your word, so you have the answer in your head. Zane, what's your answer?
2007.
Alden, what was your answer?
04.
All right. Zane wins.
Yeah, see, I was wrong anyway.
Let's see. Zane, look at that. It went to you this time, Zane. How about that?
Nice.
Killing it.
All right. Last question of round 1. What is the name of the longest river in Asia? Zane.
The Yangtze.
Holy crap.
Dang, dude.
I did not think anyone would get that one.
That's an easy one.
How do you,
Really? I didn't know that one.
Everyone knows that.
I've never heard that word before in my
Everyone
life.
but me and Jake, yeah.
Yeah,
It's so polluted it catches on fire from time to time.
Well, that happened in
Goodness
Cleveland too,
gracious.
but
I was gonna say Ohio River, yeah.
Yeah, have any of you ever heard the ballad of the Edmund Fitzgerald? Oh wait, no, that's a different thing. That's a different thing about Cleveland nautical stuff being terrible. But there's
that was on Lake Superior, so that's more Wisconsin, Michigan issue.
oh yeah, guess you're right. Never mind.
All right. Well, at the end of round 1, Steve has 1. Alden has 1. Nick has 1. Zane has 6.
You're correct.
All for one and one for all.
I want to make it clear that Zane only joined tonight because he saw trivia in the title. All right. Round 2 is Georgia trivia. There are only 5 questions. They're all worth 2 points. And they're not all that difficult. So here we go. What is the name of the river that forms much of the border between Georgia and Alabama? Nick.
Chattahoochee.
Boom. Chattahoochee River. Nick gets 2. Already cut that lead in half. Sorry, Zane. Let's see. Question number 2 of round 2. What is the name of the island off the coast of Georgia that is known for its wild horses? Alden.
Is it Jekyll?
Nope. Steven.
Cumberland.
Boom.
Nice.
Cumberland is correct. Steve jumps up to 3 points.
With the Georgia ones, I'm just gonna throw out random names because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's down there by Jekyll, isn't it?
Thought you might have said Tybee.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cumberland is it's like a 45-minute drive from Jekyll.
Okay.
Okay, that's not bad.
I wasn't okay, so I'm not embarrassed at my answer at least.
Yeah, but the coastline of Georgia isn't very big, so it doesn't.
No.
You're
No,
pretty
it's
far
not.
off.
Well, I mean, you
All
got
right.
to go from St. Mary's actually, because Cumberland Island you can only get there by boat.
You can only swim. You can only swim on horses.
Fair. Okay. Round 2, question 3. What is the state flower of Zane?
Azalea.
Nope.
Hmm.
Alden?
A peach blossom?
Nope.
I didn't think so. I have a better answer, but now I can't go.
I'd be shocked if someone got this.
Really?
Let's see if someone in the comments is going to get it. No one has gotten it yet. 10 seconds.
Can I say another one? Or
Steven, I see you cheating. What are you
I'm
doing
not-
over there?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm mad at myself because I don't know this. I used to have a silver coin with all this information on it.
I'm kind of mad at you for not knowing this too. 3, 2, 1. Cherokee Rose.
I wasn't. I didn't know that.
What is the state flower? What is the state flower of Zane? Oh, Zach got it right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't count because he's not on strain.
It's true. All right. Let's see.
I did not know that. I didn't even know that was a flower.
So no one got it. Next question. What is the name of the highest peak in Georgia? Freaking Steve, go.
Brasstown Bald.
You nailed it, man.
Boom.
I'd never heard of that.
I've been there. I've seen the brass disc.
What is the brass disc, please?
It has the published elevations, the actual survey benchmark at the top of it.
Are we back to talking about geology?
No, we're not talking about geology.
Just surveying.
All right. Question number. I also realized we need some music during this whole thing.
Yeah, that would be better,
just something in the background that keeps going. You know what? Y'all keep talking about geology. Let me see.
Well, geology rocks, but geography is where it's at.
What was that thing about the feature where you can boot people?
That's my favorite dad joke of like the year. That's awesome.
Let's see. Can y'all hear?
I hear some elevator music. Yeah.
All right. That's what we're going with tonight. We'll get some better
Okay.
music for next time.
Yeah.
All right. Final question of round 2. What is the name of the largest swamp in Georgia? Zane.
This might be in Florida, but Okefenokee.
That's what I was.
Okefenokee.
It's both, I think, right? But
It's right on the border.
yeah. Or okay, I thought it was maybe both, but
Yeah, because the rivalry trophy between Georgia and Florida in football is the Okefenokee Or.
Yes, it is.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is.
And that's one of the few places that Bear Grylls has had to be rescued from.
Wow,
like the Man vs. Wild, where they just like drop him off and they're like, "We'll pick you up on the other side of this crap in a week."
Usually, it's like there's a highway like within.
It was the Okefenokee Swamp and the Alaskan Wilderness. Those were the two places where he got on the sat phone and he was like, "Get me out of here right now."
I could have sworn that half his show was illegitimate.
It half of it
Maybe
is,
so.
yeah.
I don't know.
I remember watching an episode where he like falls into a hole and he has to get one of his camera crew to help him out.
Mrs. Who are we talking about?
Bear Grylls.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does make some pretty cool tools, though. I like his hatchet and his knives. Those are cool.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of the knives.
Yeah. Yeah. He's only there to sell product. So.
Oh, Mac's spitting some facts over here.
Let's see. What's Mac got? Fun fact. Okefenokee Joe's real name was Dick Flood. Freaking Mac.
Oh yeah,
All
Swampy the dog and Skeeter the cat.
All right. After 2 rounds, Zane has a commanding lead with 8. Nick
For real.
Steve is in second with 5. Nick has 3, and Alden, surprise, surprise, has 1 after not living in Georgia for very long. Although Nick didn't live in Georgia for very long either, and he still got 1 right. So
I
that's
knew
on
the
you, Alden.
Okefenokee. I should have just been faster at the. I'm still getting used to like where my camera is, but
Fair enough. I can see when your arm goes up, so I can.
yeah, that's.
But I've got a good
I'm doing
view.
it now. I'm doing it now, but you can't
Oh,
see it because
yeah,
I'm trying
no.
to find it over there. Like,
Well, just do your whole hand, man. Just right in front of your face.
yeah, I'll just do this. Like, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
All right, round 3. 3 questions, 3 points each. So technically speaking, Alden, if you get them all right, you win.
Here's how Bernie can still
pressure's
win.
on.
Here we go. What country was the first to recognize the United States as an independent nation? Zane got it, then Nick, then Steven.
I'm going to go France.
Wrong. Nick?
Shoot. Spain?
Wrong. Steven?
Mexico.
Wrong. Alden, you get 10 seconds to think of an answer.
The first. I didn't even put my hand up, so
I know, but everybody else already answered. They can't answer again until you do.
Germany.
Wrong. All right.
Yeah.
Anybody throw out guesses? I'm not calling on
Italy?
Let's just go with England.
Wrong.
That would be interesting.
Y'all have 10 seconds. Zane, go.
The Netherlands?
Nope.
Brazil.
Russia?
Nope. Nope.
I do not know.
2, 1.
What?
Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Shocking. It
Wow.
was definitely not one that I would have thought of.
In response to Elizabeth, Canada's still not an independent nation.
All right. Alden is now
We're still a
disqualified
Commonwealth
from
nation.
winning. Alden can no longer win. He can't pick next week's topic.
Aw.
All right. Next question. What is the name of the treaty, not the treat, that created the European Union?
I
Zane.
literally read
That
this.
would be the Maastricht Treaty.
I think Zane's going to.
That's a-
Wow.
I didn't know that one.
That is just unbelievable.
I don't think anyone else can win at this point now.
No,
Nope.
but we're gonna get to the last question here. Final question of the first trivia ever on Liberty Libations. Who is the current Prime Minister of Japan? Stephen.
I just realized I don't know because I watched the guy get shot 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not Shinzo Abe.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shinzo Abe, and then I saw him getting murdered in my mind, and I was like, "That is the wrong answer."
His replacement, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zane.
Yoshihide Suga.
You got to be kidding me.
Good.
Zane, get out.
All right. Zane is no longer invited to trivia.
That's impressive, though, man.
All right. Final score. Zane wins with a dominant victory, 14-5 to 3-1. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, right. I'm just here to make Zane look better, I guess.
Let's see. Dang it. See, this is why I need a producer, because I'm trying to do. Let's see. Can I do that? Dadgummit. I can't. It doesn't let me do anything. All right, whatever. I was gonna do a little, little stupid animation and sounds and stuff. I was gonna have that. none of it's working. Doesn't matter. Zane, congrats,
like
man.
A little dunce cap for me.
I have something similar. I mean, you were the loser, so there you go.
I'm the plant.
By the way, whenever you say something stupid or idiotic, you get this and you get muted for 30 seconds. Just FYI, this is my new mute or boot off kind of deal.
See, I didn't know if we were doing Liberty trivia stuff or just, I guess it was just general trivia. But next week we're playing Biden or Manson, right?
Sure. I'll try to think of some. I'll try to get Chat GPT to think of some questions.
I'll show you where to get the quotes from. This has already been done.
Is that like a who said the quote thing? Like,
I don't know. It was Nick's idea. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's already been a game played on other podcasts a while back.
Oh, okay.
So we just have to go pull the quotes off of those episodes.
This is the political equivalent of butt cheek or armpit. You know, like.
Well, if I recall correctly, I think Manson also had hairy legs.
That the children would play with?
Yes, in the pool in the summertime.
Yeah.
They braided it.
Did he have a corn pop, though?
I don't know.
So, Zane, what's your topic?
Yeah, Zane. If you want some stuff to choose from, let's see. We'd come up with a whole bunch of stuff.
In the wheel.
Well, yeah, we could spin the wheel, but
it can be anything as long as it's 9/11 related.
Let me share a window. So we came up with a few of these last time. We got Las Vegas shooting, 9/11, Bohemian Grove, communist infiltration, cryptids. We got Rockefeller, Zionism, MK Ultra, McCarthyism and the Venona Papers, HARP, climate science, and then can't pick finance or currency.
This is the how quick can you get booted off a YouTube wheel?
Yes, yes it is. Zane, and again, you don't have to choose one of these. And if you're not going to be on the podcast, you still get to choose our
how to alienate any would-be sponsors in just 12 words.
Yeah.
Zach would like to remind us that next week is 420.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. Huh.
That's my nephew's birthday, by the way.
That's a good birthday.
420. Yeah.
All right. Zane, you don't have to decide right now, but if you want to, you can.
I feel like I'm a bad conspiracy theorist because I don't even know what HARP is. What is HAARP?
Then we need to talk
about it. It is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
Mm-hmm.
It was an array of radio antennas set up in a small compound in Gakona, Alaska, in the early 90s. It was originally set up as a means for radio communication
under the guise of radio communication,
deep water submarines, by way of shooting radio frequencies into the ionosphere, and they would bounce that down, and it could penetrate deep ocean, and they could have radio communicate with the submarines. That was the original purpose. That's what it did. But then they figured out, like, we got enough power here. Like, if we really focus this thing, we can make it rain,
or start fires, or whatever.
Or we can turn a storm into a really bad storm.
Wait a minute. We
Or-
talked about this the last time I was on the show.
Yeah, that's what that is.
So
And yet you still don't know? Me? Sorry.
No, we didn't specifically refer to it by that acronym, but
That is true.
I have very distinct memories of the last time I was on the show, Steve talking about ways of the government controlling the weather.
Yeah, well, and there was
they
a political
flooded San
family.
Diego at one point.
There's a political family from Alaska, the Begich family. So Nick Begich is the son of a former U.S. congressman that was from Alaska that actually the guy got murdered. Like, he died in a plane crash, and they were like, this was absolute sabotage.
Another plane crash.
Yeah. And his family has stayed in politics, but, he was even saying that, his dad was the one that negotiated, if we ever do a highway infrastructure plan in Alaska, to go over there and get, the gold and the diamonds and the, what's the big mine there? The Pebble Mine. They've already worked out which tribe gets paid which royalty for which resource. All that stuff has already been in ink, codified since the late 50s due to this guy's dad. And so, and he's a PhD of some sort. So he's actually like a little bit of an expert on this stuff, but, he wrote a book, Angels Don't Play This Harp. And, he's done, all kinds of documentaries and all that kind of stuff. So
I've never even heard of a pebble mine.
Yeah. The Pebble Mine.
They literally just get pebbles out of it.
That's the name of like the deposit. Like we have the Balkan Formation in Texas.
Oh, okay.
The Balkans in that's in North Dakota.
Okay. What's the one in Texas?
The Permian.
Thank you. So yeah, it's like Permian
I only
Basin.
lived there for a year.
So we have like the Pebble Mine in Alaska, and we can't get the gold out of it because there's a certain salmon that's already being killed off by its natural predators that we have to protect.
We could.
Dead silence.
There is no way I'm subjecting our 3 listeners to an entire episode just about this.
Well, yeah. Okay, so harp in a nutshell. That's basically what it is.
All right.
I
We
guess
have a comment that actually leads perfectly into our next topic. Patrick Henry Opossum says Air National Guardsman and supposed document leaker Jack Teixeira was arrested. That is correct. And we are literally, I had it on cue, up next.
Wow.
Yeah.
Investigation, but
There we
the
go.
identity of this person was made public by some of the news media reports, the New York Times, and of course the Washington Post, which has been doing a lot of reporting on this over the last few days, reported on his identity. So I'm told by sources that.
All right. We don't have to listen to CNN for very long, but let's see. Here's frickin' AG Garland talking stupid.
The justice that guy didn't end up on the Supreme Court.
Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard. FBI agents took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident. He will have an initial appearance at the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. I want to thank the FBI, Justice Department prosecutors, and our colleagues at the Department of Defense for their diligent work on this case. This investigation is ongoing. We will share more information at the appropriate time. Thanks, everyone. Today,
Oh, man. So, yeah, this is all in response to Seymour Hersh posting his latest article talking about how a lot of our money that we've been sending over to Ukraine is being skimmed off the top by Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials. And a lot of that money is going towards buying diesel from Russia, which is just like,
wow,
so many forms of stupid involved in this. Like, it's astounding that somebody is getting arrested for leaking that information.
Because it looks real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Opossum is right. So if he is the leaker, he's definitely a hero. But
agreed. If he did
the story
he's
is
a hero.
weird.
The story's bizarre. I mean, they got him real quick too.
I think Max right on this is why is Air National Guard? Why is a 21-year-old Air National Guardsman have top secret clearance
That
and
Somebody
access
printed
to
it
these
out
documents.
and then get
I mean,
to it
that's
time.
yeah. So it sounds like a setup. Like it could have been leaked out there, and he could have been set up there. I don't know.
I always ask that question before I like jump to any conclusions when it comes to like leaks, but
Like,
I don't know much about this one. So.
What we know legitimately is if this guy was involved, they wanted him for some reason, right? Because if he was a leaker that was on their side, you wouldn't even know his name, Eric Jeremella. So, you know, strike. That's a strike.
Thanks, Zach. Or thanks, Nick. Good job.
I think you can say Eric Jeremella now, right?
I don't know. Who knows what you can
No,
say?
we'll see.
It changes every day.
So the only shocking part of that story to me is that they're using the ripped off money to buy Russian diesel, which in turn devalues the money they're ripping off.
Man, it does a whole lot of stuff, including that.
Yeah,
like, it helps their opponents in the war, which makes absolutely no sense. Why is Russia even selling diesel to them? That makes no sense. Half the story makes no freaking sense whatsoever. I don't really understand how to connect all of these dots.
Unless Ukraine is part of Russia still.
There you go. Which we have known since before we deposed Poroshenko that they were one of the most corrupt nations on the face of the planet.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So is it a double cross? Is it a triple cross? Or are we just idiots?
Are we just giving money and they're all sitting over there faking a war, acting like nothing's acting like something's happening to swipe all this money and contribute to the downfall?
I do find it suspect that after $100 billion, the guy still has the same freaking outfit.
Well, dude, he's an actor. He's in costume.
Mark Zuckerberg at least went and bought a suit after $100 billion.
He did do that. Yeah, he still looks like a lizard man, but he looks like a lizard man in a nice suit. So that's good.
You can't block his stroil.
And I do a lot. So I do real estate photography on the side. That fire's fake. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but that's a CGI imposed. I can put that in. Like, that's not real.
Whoa,
so what else
they wouldn't.
Real?
You can't let Biden near a fire. He might fall into it.
Also, is Zelensky wearing a dog tag in that picture?
No, that's a logo of some sort. I don't know. It looks like a trident.
When my sister had.
I wonder if it's Azov Battalion.
Well, if y'all don't follow Seymour Hersh on Substack, I would absolutely get over there and subscribe to his articles because he puts out some great stuff. He did one. He's the one who exposed the Nord Stream bombing. Just put out a secondary article on that as well. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic, and it's funny because like when we first started giving money to Ukraine, I know that at that point there were a lot of government officials who mysteriously got multi-million-dollar chateaus in Switzerland, and like. So it's been a full year since I knew that they were skimming money off the top. I mean, everybody knows it. It's just Seymour was the first one to put all the sources together and put it out there.
Well, and that was one of Ron Paul's answers to Tim. When he was on the show, why haven't they audited the Fed? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, obviously, I want because they were talking about just the strategy of, why audit the Fed versus abolish it. And he goes, well, obviously, I want to abolish it, but if it's ever fully audited, all the secrets come out and it's going to get torn down anyways.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things he was saying. And there was, well, what about Ukraine? He said, well, that's why they don't audit the Fed because there's trillions that are just not on the books. They're just creating the stuff and just throwing it around. And it's not in any budget. It's not on the books. They're not, but it's in circulation.
Who knows how much fentanyl the CIA is dumping on the streets in order to fund stuff in the background. I don't know. This comes from their previous playbooks, so
yeah.
It really wouldn't matter if they were audited
the
anyway.
Politicians are so worried about the cartels in Mexico, but would we really be surprised if we found out the CIA was running drugs again and using the profits to fund rebels in other countries?
Well, that was who was the guy? Who was the pilot? Tosh Plumley. He went and did his whole media tour a few years ago, And of course, he came out and said that he was supposedly one of the guys that was going to stop the JFK assassination too. So like every now and then he'll lay this egg that just ruins his credibility, but also every now and then he's dropping real stories that don't show up in headlines until 2 years after his interview. He's like, yeah, of course we're running drugs. We're selling drugs to pay for the gun running. And then we're gun running to the drug dealers. All that kind of stuff. He was one of the guys talking about Benghazi. That he knew the Benghazi consulate was a gun running operation because he had personally dropped off plane loads of guns there.
Jeez.
And he was saying this on Fox. He was on Hannity saying this stuff, man.
Goodness gracious. We got more from the Ukraine stuff. I don't know if y'all follow Senator Joe Manchin, but he's being a fool over in Ukraine. So here's some of his antics.
Let me just say it's been an unbelievable meetings that we've been able to have and a visit to see up person, the determination. And
who's that?
With him?
That's Brad Paisley right there.
Oh yeah. Who's the guy speaking?
I was so disappointed in Brad Paisley because I like his music a lot, but he recently came out with a song that features Zelensky on the track.
Oh my!
I couldn't bring myself to listen to it because I'm sure it's propaganda. But.
That's painful.
Oh, it is.
Fight in this entire victory that the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian government. We had great.
So is Manchin being the McCain of
President
this
Zelensky was just finished up
conflict?
with him and all
Yes.
his staff and briefed all the way along.
We're gonna get him standing on the stage with
Seen the United States of America
what's his name?
in a more just war than what this one is. The purpose of America.
I've got to respect the drip though. Showing up the Ukraine wearing a West Virginia hoodie and a cowboy hat.
And that's what we're doing. And we're in it to win it with them.
Just flexing on them.
So, in case y'all
Joe
couldn't hear,
Manchin,
because
okay.
the audio was miserable.
Yeah.
How they chose that audio? Like they had 10 microphones sitting on the daggum table,
Yeah,
and they chose the audio from an iPhone 50 yards away. He said he ended it with saying, "This is the most just war that we could fight. We have to fight because we have to defend democracy, and we have to defend other countries who want democracy." And he just kept calling it a just war. And I mean, at this point, how can you not say that we're actually fighting in the war? Like, I don't understand it. We've sent so many people in Congress and just from like top government officials over there. How is it that, and so much money, obviously, and weapons and all materials, everything. How are we not actually fighting this war?
Well, and if you watch independent media, I mean, this goes all the way back to 2012. There's some independent media, there's live stream stuff. I think it was like back in 2012. I think it's even Now This, something like that. But it was, these guys had New Jersey and Boston accents. They're wearing foreign uniforms, but these guys are from here.
Yeah.
They're talking to the new. Yeah, we're out here just trying to make sure there's democracy and everything. What? That's an American.
It's painful, man. And what is Brad Paisley doing there? I just listened to one of his songs the other day and was so happy that I found it. And now he's over there shilling for freaking Ukraine and Zelensky. Are you kidding me?
I mean, the fact hard times and is trying to get paid, get that.
Well, yeah. I mean, have you ever snorted cocaine with a despot on a pallet of US dollars? You accept that invitation.
Oh, you sound like you're speaking from experience, Steven. That's interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like anyone in the entertainment industry, even say country music, has turned.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when they had just like
it's gone regime. There's no real rebels left.
They had during the COVID thing when just like random celebrities were like taking photos of them getting a shot and posting it. It's like, get out of here. Like, it's the same kind of issue.
12 U.S. SOG guys in county. Does he mean country? I don't know. Gentlemen, I enjoyed it once again. Got a crash. Heck yeah, man. Robert.
We're doing a live show at the convention.
Tuning in. Yeah, we're going to do a live Liberty Libations at the convention. Excited to have you there to throw out your comments in person. It's going to be
We're
great.
going to do trivia. Zane's not invited to that part.
The loser gets the loser gets pelted with tomatoes. It'll be great. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Robert. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Robert.
All right. One of my favorite things that's been happening quite a bit recently is our side of activism showing up at panels and speaking events and just hijacking it. And it's been my favorite thing to watch. And we have yet another one. So here we go.
Idea how stupid we look to the rest of the world. We have Julian Assange in prison for 4 years, and we're here talking about journalism. Ukraine is doing everything you're accusing Russia of doing. They've banned the Russian language. They have outlawed political parties. One of the things, no, we should talk about this because we're about to be perhaps in a nuclear war. The U.S. is going fascist. I don't know if you've read this Resist Act. We have Assange in prison. We invaded Iraq 20 years ago and killed 1 million people based on lies.
I love this woman.
And no one cares about that. They should be here to hear me because they're here to tell a bunch of lies. I should be on the program.
You know why your groceries cost this much? It's this crap this lady's talking about.
Yep.
China and Russia are bringing peace. They chilled out the situation between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The war in Yemen is ending. No, you know.
She keeps going for 2 more minutes.
Yeah. Why was there ever a war in Yemen?
Oh, you want to know that? You know that story?
I mean, I know what I heard going back to my hotel from 420 Fest by a Yemeni cab driver.
I don't think I will be.
Yeah, well, it was long story short, it was to quote unquote placate the Saudis after the Iran nuclear deal went through. So
word for word what Obama said.
Yes, that was Obama's quote. It was
the drone ranger
supported that. The only reason they supported it was to quote unquote placate the Saudis. Yep, because the Saudis were all pissed off that we struck a deal with Iran to limit any possibility of them getting a nuke anytime. And you can't have that. You can't.
Well, there is a trade-off though, right? Did they get a little more progressive? Like, wasn't there a gay pride in Riyadh last year?
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's how. So the Saudis threw a fit on that, and it was that whole Salah and everyone else, and that the politics of Yemen are just a mess to begin with. But the Saudis picked their side, and
peace, Patrick.
Make them happy.
Night, Patrick.
Cheers, brother.
We'll help you bomb the poorest country on earth back into the Stone Age while they starve because they import all of their own food and have no water. Yeah, that sounds like a great use of U.S. resources.
Well, I just love these these people that have done no research at all. Like they just react to like seeing one video. Oh, well, this is a humanitarian crisis, and I'm like, okay, well, have you heard of the country Eritrea?
That country is
Kim Jong-un blushes over there.
Yeah. I mean, so many countries in that area have gone through some hell over the past 30, 40, 50 years. And right now, Yemen is definitely getting the worst of it at the moment.
Yeah, but Eritrea and what you've got Ethiopia right there, and then you've got Somalia. Which when we move into Somalia, guys?
Yeah, Will. we like having Will Bell on here, but he's a busy guy.
He's got his own show going on right now.
Yeah, he does have his own show.
He's over on the Black Flag podcast right now.
I wonder if we can stream a stream within a stream. Like, can we
streamception?
Yes.
Streamception. I like that.
Can we deep fake this into their live stream?
Oh, Matt Carter. I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more Will Bell.
Well, best we can do is Liberty Bell. So
yeah, you're gonna have to go over to his channel. I'm gonna see if we could stream a stream because I think that would be hysterical.
Like if you could put that on ours.
Yeah.
And yes, Mac, Will makes fantastic wine, by the way. The Rabbit Eye wine is great stuff. And after the state convention, you'll see me drinking that on the next show.
Yeah, he gifted me a bottle of it after last year's convention. It was awesome.
Oh, dude, we got snowed in at last convention. I remember coming home from that, and
we barely got any snow.
Well, it was just enough.
There was no snow.
My son was at the grandparents' house, and we had a bottle of wine, and it was snowing. It was fantastic. I'll say that.
You can get a dusting and claim that it's snow just to stay in and drink wine, and I'm not gonna say anything, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Sensor, because the parties that be were under the impression that I was also running.
Wait. Why would they be under that impression?
This is hilarious. I wonder if they could put our stream up.
Maybe because I'm friends with Will.
Jumping together, but
is he on right now?
Didn't you like reply?
Yeah, this is live.
Wow.
In a way that made it seem like it was you.
It's very
Like you said,
interesting.
Oops, I'm bad.
A trial of Will and Buddy.
There we go.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Do you?
It wouldn't make sense because the
we
state
probably
party
shouldn't get into.
We should put the Joe Manchin audio over the video of Will doing the hand motion with a wine glass.
But yeah,
We have to protect democracy. It's the
Nice. Yeah, I gotta get down there. I gotta taste his wine, man, and I gotta taste Steven's beer and Will's wine.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
When are you coming down?
I mean, I'll be this summer sometime, July or something.
I'll have a good IPA for you. Maybe a red ale.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I like both.
I think we've got a viewer tonight, Alden, who's one of my buddies down here. He's going to come on the show at some point. Y'all will get along so well.
Yeah, what's his story?
He's like a craftsman, man. He can build, make, repair anything. He's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
And he makes some delicious mead. Like
I love good mead.
So stinking good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like my Nordic heritage or whatever, but I love good mead.
Oh man, he crushes it. Yeah, he's got.
Oh, the night I proposed to Mary, the way I calmed my nerves was the Chaucer's mead with the mulling spices.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
like
Slam the whole
mulling
bottle.
times 10. Yeah.
You had some nerves, huh, for that wedding?
Look, well, no, it was the proposal. It was New Year's Eve on Daytona Beach.
Geez.
And
well, Daytona Beach is the wrong.
we did some good, really good brewery hopping. There was a
no, there's good beer.
I had a basil watermelon saison, which is a very interesting concept, and it tastes exactly like you would expect it to.
Who made that?
It was one of the local breweries in Daytona. Like they just have Daytona locations.
Pretty sure there's a mixed drink like that too.
I used to live basically in Daytona.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
I was there.
Volusia County jails are terrible, by the way. A friend of mine went the summer after I was there.
Yeah, I think Alden, you worked at a bar, right?
I worked at a tap house in Volusia County there. Yeah.
Right. I think I came to that one night.
You did, and you stayed the night at the house, and we played darts with lived with my boss at the time there. Yeah.
My gosh, I barely remember that night.
Yeah,
I must have had a lot to drink. Yeah.
We did. We opened like half of our fridge that night. Like.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like I remember getting to your bar, and I literally don't remember a dadgum thing after that.
Yeah, you came to our townhome, and we just like the fridge just was open all night. We just like emptied bottles and just played darts until like 3 a.m. Like,
interesting. Yeah, that sounds like something we do.
Yeah. We did it. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Let's see. We're gonna go back to some Ron Paul because I like listening to Ron Paul. This is old school Ron Paul.
I wish Ron Paul was like my grandpa.
Gosh, that'd be so great.
Most of our history we didn't have those institutions. The FBI came in during the First World War, and interestingly enough, one thing that Woodrow Wilson did, he used the FBI to spy on American citizens and actually arrest them if they disagreed with his foreign policy about going to war in Europe. And isn't it interesting how recent they used it in the Vietnam era? Democrats used it there. Republicans used the FBI to spy on 100 different groups in this country, including the churches, who disagree with the policy in Central America. It almost looks like the FBI was designed to spy on Americans who might be disagreeing with policy, especially the foreign policy. So the FBI.
Why else would you need a federal police force?
They've ever done, because I'm sure some of the investigations and investigation of crime has been beneficial, but that could be accomplished through Justice Department within our states. We wouldn't reject that portion of it. I think the FBI has kept and continues to keep a lot of records on a lot of individuals. CIA has only been here since 1947. Their record is lousy. I mean, just think of the CIA used by the Democratic administration to.
I think it's a miracle that he's not been assassinated.
Yeah.
At some point in time.
Well, and just a cool tip, if you really want to throw your FBI agent through a loop, just load up a video to one of your social media pages, title it "How to Make a Bomb," but it's just 3 hours of you slapping mayonnaise on something, just mayonnaise jar,
That's pretty good. I just love that he was spouting all that and still got elected multiple times. Never he encountered unending resistance, but he still got his message out there and got so many people motivated to do stuff. It's so
one
impressive.
of the few people that speaks real truth, honestly, in politics.
Yeah, it's just
and the FBI. I would
only
even
he
go a
were
step
20
further.
years younger.
Yeah. And say that the FBI is what they're doing, is keeping tabs on domestically more than anything. That
well, certainly at this
what
point,
they're doing.
and especially since the Snowden revelations, when he detailed the PRISM program, and then the birth of the Fusion Center that came out of the Patriot Act. The Fusion Center in and of itself is the violation of all this stuff, because that's coming from a law enforcement family. It's my understanding that these agencies should never intermingle. They were enforcement agencies. There was deliberate separation set up. That's why when you watch older movies, and the sheriff's out there, like a cheesy B-rated horror film from the 80s, right?
Right.
And the sheriff comes out and he's like, "Oh, FBI's here." And then the FBI's like, "Ugh, the sheriff." They hated each other. Like, they didn't talk to each other. It was set up that way on purpose.
And there was
now you have the Fusion Center, and they're all melding their information together. And that is the, Eye of Sauron, basically. Like, that's, that's them all coalescing under an evil pact. It's not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be, I guess.
And that's how you end up with local police departments with armored personnel carriers.
Yeah.
It's very true.
The FBI gets involved in things that, according to them, they're not supposed to. But in certain cases, they're not supposed to look for missing persons or whatever that aren't children or something, but they will when it involves weird stuff. And we can get into this on another episode when it comes to national parks and funky stuff with that and
go
missing
now.
persons.
Let's do it.
Well, I would. So Stephen was excited to talk about cryptids and stuff, and it's often the FBI who are called out to when people are camping and they have a weird thing that happens in the national parks. It's the fucking FBI that's always out there, and they're talking to people and they're taking reports and stuff. I've listened to thousands of hours of personal anecdotal reports of seeing weird stuff while hiking and camping and whatever. And it's always the FBI that's deeply just involved in those types of calls and telling people not to talk about what they saw there. And it gets super weird, man. Someone will go missing, a hiker will go missing, and there's FBI there and there's helicopters around or whatever, but it'll be before anyone's supposed to even have reported anyone missing and stuff. It gets really bizarre, honestly.
That is interesting. Do you think, what are the odds you think of those Men in Black flash sticks existing?
I don't know as far as the literal sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have something along the lines, but I doubt it's what do they call that?
I can't remember what it was.
Oh man. Oh my God. I know this somewhere in my brain.
Yeah, Nick fell asleep. I think he's sitting in his chair.
No, I'm just doing business.
No, he's dreaming about the Cherokee Rose.
Hey,
We all
LP
know this.
business doesn't stop. I got an email.
He's dreaming
from,
about the policy manual.
No, there was an email that came in from someone who says that there's someone on LP North Carolina, and I'm double checking with North Carolina people that this is a legit project.
Gotcha. Zane,
That's
you're
all.
a super nerd. You should know what the Men in Black thing was with.
It's Neuralizer. We had said.
Oh, Neuralizer. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. It's a good name for it. I
Yeah.
like it.
My movie knowledge is unfortunately lacking a little bit. But while we're on the topic of law in national parks, have you guys ever heard of the Zone of Death?
No.
Yes,
By name, I don't know.
I'm familiar with it. It's Zane, you explain it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, and it's very dubious. And I think it's very easy to fix, but politicians won't do it.
So according to the Constitution, when you get tried for a crime, you have to be tried in the same district and the same state as where you committed the crime. And so that's usually not a problem because in all but this one very specific case, all of the districts are only in one state. But in Yellowstone National Park, the entire national park is within Wyoming's federal court district.
Even though part
but
of it's
there's
in
a
like
tiny
Montana.
piece of it that's in Montana that does have people in it. And so if you committed a crime there, there's technically no court that would be competent to try you because it would be impossible for you to be tried in both the same state and the same district.
So I guess what you're saying is if you do have to murder someone,
it's actually in the Idaho. Yeah, it's in the Idaho section of the park.
Or Anarchapulco is not in Mexico.
Oh yeah, because technically it's because the jury has to be drawn from people that live in that same state and district, and the Idaho portion of the park has nobody living in it.
Right,
So
but Montana has the Montana portion has a little bit. So there's no jury, and you don't have and you can't pull a jury from that area, and it's like this whole convoluted mess of that would be fixed if it was just you're tried in the state that it happens in, or like you could write one little line into law and fix the issue, but this has been known for like 20 years.
There could be a bunch of different things. You could, like animals could serve on a jury. That could be a thing. Like,
I have a spin-off. I have two spin-off things here. One is a statement and one is a question. The statement one is that there's also a law with any national park that it is illegal on a federal level to run ground penetrating radar in any national park. And we'll come back to that another time. But
that's mineral rights. Absolutely.
Can you cite that?
What's that?
You can't.
What?
You can't run ground penetrating radar.
No, it's illegal.
That's due to mineral rights.
But what does that have to do with anything?
I think we need to.
That has to do with a lot. Like if you find gold, silver, coal, shale, lignite, natural gas, any of that stuff.
Yeah, but if you finding it is different than mining it. Like, if I were to find something out in the open, out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm there legally, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to mine it.
The way mineral rights work in some states is you actually control the exploration methods for said mineral rights.
Huh.
So anybody that has access to it, you can restrict that to a certain vertical plane to where you have surface level access only.
Interesting. Alden, what was your question then?
So that on the mineral thing or whatever, I think that's like a red herring as far as like what they really don't want you seeing under the ground there. But the question was when we started talking about juries, who is if Donald Trump has to have like an actual trial with a jury, who's gonna be qualified to be on this jury? Like who doesn't know too much about this to have the jury bias thing going on? I don't know.
No, everybody's always going to have bias, and it's just going to be absurdly biased people on that jury, like both ways probably. But
I would have to think that you'd end up with a jury from at least outside of New York. that they would go with a jury out of somewhere else, just because he's so tied in with the city that pulling a jury out of that city is probably.
I don't know how that's going to go, but if it gets to that, I don't even see.
I don't even think it's going to get to that. I think this is going to go back and forth, and every little ruling is going to get appealed and appealed and appealed.
Yeah,
and there's not going to like they're saying, a trial will happen maybe next.
Well, and here's another fun gray area, that pertains to here in Georgia, because you're talking about the overlap area where you wouldn't really have, jurisprudence. There's no way to have a jury of your peers in that area. Here in Georgia, we have a tree that owns itself.
Wait.
This is very legally dubious.
There is a sovereign tree in the state of Georgia.
Explain.
Yeah,
and it's fenced in, and that's here. I'm going to try to find. I will find this
because that's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard.
Oh, this is one of the cool stories because I remember when I was going for my surveying degree. This was one of the things that we brought up, and I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." So hold on one second.
Like the owner of the tree in his will, granted ownership of the tree to the tree, in a classic case of not understanding how property rights work.
Weird. Okay. That's bizarre. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't really know what to
What's
say
this
about
thing
that.
about a Joe Rogan AI generated version of his podcast?
That wouldn't surprise me. Is there something?
There's a news story. I'm seeing it on Zero Hedge. Joe Rogan has warned of the growing threats posed by artificial intelligence after a version of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, was created entirely through the use of AI technology, sparking concern among listeners.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. Have you seen the advertisements that use Joe Rogan created through AI? Uncanny.
There was a episode of Time on Earth they did the other day, and I think they released it publicly yesterday. But I think they did an AI generated podcast of themselves, plus also Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson on it.
Some of them are they're getting close. They're pretty convincing.
I mean, they played I think it was mainly audio, or no, they cut some video together, but they created the audio version of an advertisement with Rogan's voice. And if you listen closely, you can tell it's not Rogan. But if you don't listen to his show ever,
it's getting close.
You would know that you would think that it was Rogan.
Yeah.
This is where we reveal to everyone that Zane won trivia because he's actually an AI.
That would
I wouldn't know because I've not met Zane before.
Well, I sent you guys a link to the tree that owns itself. I sent you the wiki and then the official government website as well.
That's interesting.
All right, I'm on it. Just give me a
Speaking
second.
of meeting Zane, it was a pleasure, man. I'm glad you came on. I got to bounce out a little early tonight, guys, but it was fun. I'm glad we got to do the trivia thing, even though I lost miserably.
Fed.
Yeah, of course.
Good to meet you.
All right, Alden. Thanks for coming on again, brother.
Man.
We like
It's
having you.
fun.
Yeah, love it.
I appreciate it.
But go cook dinner and tell your girl we said hi.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Cheers.
All right, let me see this ridiculous tree owning itself crap. Tree that owns itself is a white oak tree that, according to legend, has legal ownership of itself and all land within 8 feet of its base. Also known as the Jackson Oak, the tree is at the corner of South Finley and Deering Streets in Athens. What the heck? The original tree, thought to have started life between mid-16th and late 18th century, fell in 1942, but a new tree was grown from one of its acorns and planted in the same location. The current tree is sometimes referred to as the son of the tree that owns itself. Both trees have appeared in numerous national publications, and the site is a local landmark. What the heck is going on here?
So does the son of the tree that owns itself inherit the property rights of the original tree?
I think we need to consult John Locke on this.
There's the original one.
I mean, the tree provides nutrients to the ground, right? So it's mixing its labor with the land.
That tree, and then within 8 feet of its base, which would be the critical root zone, there's sovereign territory there. So, you're not subject to at least state law, I guess.
It's a pretty tree. I like that tree.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
So I guess, whatever goes on between consenting adults within those fences right there is fair game.
I mean,
well, you'd have to ask the tree how it wanted its private property to be used.
So how does the tree own property and not pay taxes? And how do I get that loophole for myself?
You have to declare yourself as a tree. You have to self-identify as a tree.
Okay, let's do that. Let's go follow.
And that's an example I bring up to folks here in Georgia is that, hey, if a tree can be sovereign and own itself and be exempt from laws and therefore taxes, so can we.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand how this happened. I need to look into this a little more, but it is interesting. It is funny.
Is this Zane's topic for next week? The tree that owns itself?
No, but it's the concept of it.
It is the concept. It's getting my head.
Sovereign entities do exist. Their sovereignty is respected.
Yeah.
It remains intact and is alive to this day, 80 years later from being granted its sovereignty. So all it takes is an acknowledgement from the government that you're sovereign. I'm not going to go full Clive and Bundy on you here, but it's an interesting concept and it exists here in Georgia.
Interesting.
We need to have another Ruby Ridge in defense of the tree. just start a settlement in those 8 square feet.
Okay. Yeah, because how sovereign is it? Like, is it sovereign enough that you could say that the police can't cross that boundary?
Well,
could we issue passports off of the tree?
Is it sovereign, or is it just like owning itself doesn't necessarily, like the cops still can come on your daggone property?
It's not. Yeah, but can the tree trespass you?
Man, this is a tough one.
Yeah, and there's an old Latin land concept too. I forget the exact phrase, but it's basically from the depths of hell all the way to heaven. And does this tree have vertical rights as well?
I feel like it would have to. I don't know. Yeah. This is a topic that I need to actually research because this is
so really we can build a 10-foot radius condo pole on this thing basically.
Yeah. We should go build a treehouse in it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why not?
Simple. Zane, what have you picked a topic that we're supposed to talk about next week?
Yeah, I think we've got to keep it simple and just do a drug episode. You got to respect the day.
A drug episode? I love it. Next week.
What kind of drug
drugs?
Whatever kind you want.
SSRIs or like?
No, the
illicit. Steven's probably got something for that.
The illegal kind.
It's hilarious because I've
like CIA running crack to the inner cities.
In my life, and whenever it comes up, I always say that take the uncompromising legalization position, which I actually think I have more credibility because I don't do them myself, and there's no way you can be like, oh, you're just a drug addict. Nobody should listen to you.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Okay. But have you ever done DMT?
Calling himself Ron Paul here.
I see we have the AI version of Joe Rogan joining us tonight.
What about elk meat, man? Have you ever had some elk meat?
All right, y'all. We're coming to the end here, but we're going to do a little promotion. First off, if you're interested at all in any of the things that we talk about, if any of the crazy conspiracies that we dive into, I don't know, tickle your funny bone, head on over to lpgeorgia.com and check out what we're all about, because that'll be your resource for getting into everything libertarian here in the state of Georgia. We've got some awesome stuff coming up. We've got some awesome people involved in the party, including that guy right there, Edgar Mills, and that guy right there, Mr. Shane Hazel. We just got a whole bunch of great stuff. There's lots of good resources on here for learning about, there's World's Smallest Political Quiz. You can take that. You can watch our Had Enough campaign, upcoming events.
Start thinking about running for office. There's local races all around you, and chances are you might be able to win that with very little effort.
That is very true.
Especially if you live in a smaller area, you might be able to slip in. There might be spots open that you don't know about.
There's a lot of what's going on in Georgia. People are either dying or getting arrested on drug charges and being deposed, and so there's special elections all over the place.
Yep.
All you have to do is just pay attention.
There's special elections. There's the nonpartisan local stuff. And we want to start getting members in on these offices. We gotta, we want to start showing some winning. We want to build, a real political party here that, wouldn't it be great to say, hey, we've got 100 city councilors, county council, whatever, people in the party here.
I love it.
And imagine if we had 100 people in those, what we could be doing from the local, Shane himself, without even being elected, went to Holly Springs. And, one of my favorite parts of the of Jake's documentary, Divide and Dominate. And Shane got the Holly Springs City Council to get rid of civil asset forfeiture.
Yes, he did.
Within the city. I mean, how much better? You can't get much better than that,
It's pretty freaking awesome.
It's a pretty easy thing. One man walks in there and says, hey, guys, I think we need to do this, and here's the reasons why. And he stayed on him and pushed him, and he got his way.
Yes, he did. Yep.
And all those people of Holly Springs now don't have to worry about their local police stealing their stuff.
Which is freaking fantastic. Speaking of Divide and Dominate, you can come to a screening of it this Saturday. Pretty stoked. Steven, get to hang out in person, man. It's going to be awesome.
Less than 48 hours from now.
That is crazy. Man,
down here in my hometown of Fayetteville, or as we call it, Vietnam.
Got it. It'll start at 5 o'clock. I'm sure the movie will start a little bit after that. We'll have a Q&A afterwards. And beforehand, I know the Mises folks are throwing a get-together. Where's our get-together? Do you know, Nick? I know
isn't it Line Creek?
Bus Barn.
Bus Barn?
Oh, we're going to the Bus Barn first.
2 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Because every time that something's happening down there, that's where everyone starts. Well, yeah, because I think before the first Robbie the Fires show for Christmas, a bunch of people did that, and then we were having other events there, and I was like, I don't know, people went to this place last time, so let's just go there.
Well, and there's some current and former employees of Line Creek Brewing that are admitted libertarians.
Love that.
The current one's not going to bust them out, but the former ones are pretty well known around here too. So, it's a good venue, and they've made themselves known for hosting everybody.
Nice.
There's a guy here that ran, as a Democrat for mayor locally recently. Rose up in torches and pitchforks talking about the socialists are coming, and the libertarians are right behind this guy saying the socialists are already here, they're in office. So
yeah.
They kind of they appreciate all of it, and the whole thing, no press is bad press. Line Creek's a good venue, and it's called
Nice.
Bus Barn because it's where they used to park the school buses in the summertime.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you want to hang out with me and Steven and Zane, are you coming?
Oh, yeah.
Zane and a few other libertarians and Mises folks, 2 to 5 at the Bus Barn. And then down at, where is this? The Playhouse, right? Town Square Playhouse down in Fayetteville.
That's right.
For screening of the documentary. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And then, per usual, we're ending with The Great Create. If you're still watching, you probably already know about The Great Create, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Well, just take a look, right? As Jake scrolls through here, if you've been watching with us lately, you're going to start seeing more and more names appearing here, more and more pictures, people who weren't on there before, right?
This is true.
Which means we're still growing. I'm hearing some rumors that some other solid names Zach informed me of have committed.
Yep, they're just not on the website yet.
That's going to be, yeah. Well, this is like news that's coming to me just today.
Wait, how'd that guy get there in the bottom right? That guy's a schlub.
Yeah, I don't know how this dude got here, but he got here.
I don't know why you would. Why? Yeah, that's a mistake.
Heck yeah. So
how many box tops do I have to mail in to get a dinner with that guy?
Get your tickets today, y'all. The Great Create. It's going to be fantastic. Go to thegreatcreate.org to learn all about it. We have all sorts of different skills being demonstrated, different self-reliant, self-sufficiency based things to learn, to watch people do, to partake in. So head on out there. It's going to be a great time. It's in Perry, Georgia, not too far from Atlanta. It's right outside
a
of
little
Macon.
bit of a drive, but you get to pass a Buc-ee's on the way, which
Amen.
You should always go to Buc-ee's.
Hallelujah.
It's not just
Always
a
go to
gas
Buc-ee's.
station, Jared.
Yeah, Jared. It's not just a daggum gas station. It's Buc-ee's.
Oh yeah, Buc-ee's is a way of life.
At what other gas station can you purchase fine art?
Very true. Very
and
true.
a deer stand.
And a pellet grill. You know, and some wall art that says "It's well with my soul."
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, they do have some of that.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the live, laugh, love. I prefer the live, laugh toaster bath, but
what?
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here on that note. Thank y'all so much for watching. Zane, Steven, Nick, thanks for hopping on and joining the stream. This was great. Loved trivia the first time around. We'll make it a little better next time. Have some music playing the entire time. Have some maybe better questions. I don't know. Questions seemed okay. What did y'all think?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Fine.
I mean, Zane liked them, but we don't really care about Zane at this moment.
Zane could go on actual Jeopardy, I think.
I think so.
I have done the audition, and actually, in 2019, I auditioned to go on College Jeopardy and made it to the in-person audition. So made it to the like there were a couple hundred people that made it to that round, but they only picked 15. So
I had a history teacher in high school who was on Jeopardy.
Wow. That's yeah, I could never do that.
She was terrible.
I can't remember. I can't remember facts. I fold under pressure. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not participating in our trivia because I'd fail horribly.
Oh yeah, there was a couple of those. I'm like, oh, I should know this. Oh no.
Yep. No, I do that every time.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, I still don't have credits or music at the end, so we're just gonna awkwardly wave at the camera, and we'll see y'all next week.
Cheers.